I don't want to be a chicken. I don't want to be a Hey, I'm Phil, and I'm a teacher living in Madrid. I've been here for 4 years teaching and living in the same flat, actually. I made a video about that recently, so if you're thinking about moving and living here to see what that's like, definitely check out that video. Yeah. My commute has been the same. Usually I ride my bike, but today I am taking the school bus. So this was a Monday morning, and I knew I left myself some work, didn't finish everything I needed to. So this morning I'm coming in to the Learning Commons, and that's where the printer is, where I need to send something to print and have that prepped for science this afternoon. I still have some time before the kids arrive, so I write the morning message, which makes them feel welcome and like there's a purpose for the day. At 8:45, I welcome the kids in the door, and today I actually have a kid I need to get caught up on a math test. So without giving too much away, I prompt them and reread some of the questions so they understand what is going on and can feel like they're doing a proper job. Around 9:20, it's time for a morning meeting. This is something we do as a community every single day, and it has 3 parts: a greeting, a share, and an activity. Today, we're starting with a peace greeting, just doing a little peace sign, sending that around so everybody sees each other, hears their name, and has a greeting. Our share is something we did over the weekend, which is pretty typical for a Monday, and our activity is Zoom. Around 9:30, it's time for points and jobs, so each kid gets a chance based on their points, which are behavior-based, and that was a lead teacher's decision and not exactly mine. They get to choose what they want their job to be. Points and jobs lines up really nicely with our first social studies unit, which is all about community and the different rights and responsibilities people have. So this is a way to get students involved and also help keep the classroom in order and have everybody doing something that contributes, so not all of the weight is on the shoulders of the teacher. At 9:45, we're starting the first subject for the day, and that's a writer's workshop. Usually during this time, the teacher has a mini lesson they prepare, which lasts anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes, usually closer to like 6, 7, 8. And today they're talking about the cover pages for realistic fiction series that the kids have been working on for the last several weeks. In the workshop model, I usually watch the mini lesson for keywords and phrases and then mimic that later in conferences with students. But also sometimes I'll sit with a particular student to model engagement and encourage them to be actively participating. But I could see that this was going to be short and everybody was already tuned in, so I just decided to sit back and watch for a few minutes as we got through some of the key pieces of what a cover page looked like. At 10 o'clock, I walk next door to my other classroom to see what's going on and what the lead teacher and those students are up to. They're working in an app called Book Creator to create digital versions of their realistic fiction pieces. By 10:15, I'm walking around asking how's it going casually to students, which is an open-ended question I really like because it actually yields a lot of information where a child is at, and then I can target instruction around in phonics, writing, or editing. At 10:30, I notice it's snack, and we get everybody tidied up before we line up and leave the room. While all the other teachers are on duty during snack, I usually take the opportunity to slip away and grab a coffee. The thought of being on duty is always such an interesting thing because students seem to do better when they feel they are trusted and not being monitored or surveilled. So I try to strike a balance between knowing what's going on, who has a nutritious snack, who's socializing with whom, and making sure everyone's visible and safe, but also allowing for some kids to have some trust and autonomy. At 10:50, we call it in and snack is done. We go back inside to continue with book creator. At 11:30, it's units of study time, so I throw Mystery Science up on the Promethean, which is like a TV with internet, and I get the papers that I had prepped from the morning. At 11:35, we start our units of study, which is all about plants and animals today. We're asking the guiding question, why are polar bears white? And this is to get the kids thinking about patterns and structures of plants and animals. At 11:50, I notice the lesson keeps getting interrupted. I've used all my responsive classroom tricks, which is a best practice model for using teacher language and that sort of thing. So I've already talked about, go take a break or body check and other reminding, reinforcing language. The lesson pretty much completely falls apart and I feel helpless when I introduce the trees that are part of the activity. The kid runs over to the tree, which causes almost the entire classroom of kids to flood over to that tree, and then just a lot of silliness and crazy energy ensues. So I use a calm, neutral teacher voice to count down, which means everybody needs to be listening in their space by 0, and it works. I see we have just 10 minutes left, which really isn't enough time to give a good run of the activity we had planned, and I worked so hard on those trees and getting everything printed and prepped this morning. But anyway, I use that as leverage to stop the lesson and write how we take care of others on the board, which I find can be more useful to get that back and forth conversation with the whole class instead of just lecturing them or speaking at them. So for the next 10 minutes, we go over the basics of how we want to feel in our classroom community and what kind of behaviors make us feel that way, which even with just 3 weeks of school left is not a bad thing to do at all or ever. At 12 o'clock, I have recess duty, so I go outside and end up helping a few kids with different conversations. He tripped me, or they said this, or they took my ball. And after 15 minutes or so, things calm down and I'm patrolling the field and a kid asks me to play ball, so I get to enjoy that moment. At 12:30, it's lunchtime, so everyone has sanitized their hands a few times by now, and then I grab my lunch and go visit my friend David. I notice nobody's there, so I just settle in to eat my lunch, which today is chicken, cabbage, bread, and salad. I watch some YouTube videos of a new person I just subscribed to and am really inspired by called Name is Hannah, who is a UX UI designer in Toronto. Later on, my friend David comes by and he's busy working on stuff, so we don't interact much. But a few minutes later, my friend Lisa comes by and asks me some questions about the CMS for our school website. At 1 o'clock, I finished my lunch and walk back the tray over to the cafeteria. I have some lunchtime left, so I read some of my book, Algorithms of Oppression, and put in a few sticky notes. I think I might like to do a review of this book later. It actually has a lot of interesting stuff about Google and YouTube as a function of white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal society, so look out for that. I also have a book that I finished recently called Three-Body Problem, and I need to return that to my friend Meredith, so I walk over to her desk, which is up a flight of stairs and down a few hallways. My lunch and prep period are over, and the kids are coming back from Spanish to start quiet time. It's actually not quiet, which is fine. Kids work independently on their own projects, experimenting with brushes in Procreate, elaborate pop-out letters for friends and family, and playing around Chrome Music Lab. I use this time to check and respond to a few emails. At 2:15, it's time to start units of study for the other class. So I've already done this lesson in one class, and now I get to iterate and do an improved version today. I've already decided I want to break up the lesson into 2 days, so the activity comes on the second day, and the first part is front-loading some of the concepts and vocabulary we want the kids to be using and thinking about. We talk about superpowers of animals before introducing why are polar bears white as a focus question, and the lesson goes much more smoothly. We finish off by watching a video of cool animals on a continuous loop while kids jot down what they notice or wonder on sticky notes. When they feel ready, they can come up to chat with me individually about how to sort that thought into our different How Scientists Think poster. At 2:49, I see I've collected some great data about how our first grade scientists are thinking about animal phenomenon. And at 2:50, the kids have art, and I get a second prep period for the day. At 3 o'clock, at some point I help a girl with a stomach ache who went to the nurse in the bathroom and still wasn't feeling good. So we just talked a bit outside the classroom, and I told her, oh yeah, my stomach hurts sometimes too. And yeah, it's normal to have a stomach ache. And then I realized that's kind of a nice part of the job too, is you have these very human conversations and things that happen while you are doing all of the pedagogy. At 3:25, I work on airdropping a bunch of books for the book creator project to a teacher iPad and then uploading them to Google Drive so we can print them, which is quite a multi-step, time-consuming process. And it looks like it should be a quick thing, you would think, but a lot of administrative tasks like this happen in teaching, I have realized. At 3:45, dismissal happens, and I have pictures to take for my communications specialist job, which I have also at this school. And today is the last day of after-school activities, so we'll be making a post about that. At 4:45, it's time for the gym, and today we are doing the same warm-up we always do. Then we're doing some squats and thrusters, so that's when you lift this bar thing over your head a bunch of times. At 6 o'clock, I'm hoping it doesn't storm because I've got plans to meet up with some friends at the pool. I decided to walk home, which is across this beautiful park. It's one of the biggest in Madrid. I think it's the biggest. Its nickname is the Lungs of Madrid, and it was used as a royal hunting grounds back in the day. I see lots of bunny rabbits, which makes me happy, and I see some plants, and I pick up a rock that I think looks cool, and walking around, generally enjoying myself. By this time, my GH5 Lumix Panasonic camera has run out of battery, so I'm using my Sony Xperia phone as a backup, taking pictures of stuff I think is cool and videos, and just lollygagging as I walk to the pool, which is about an hour, 20 minutes walk or something like that. I walk into the pool and I try to look for my friends, and I end up not seeing them. Then the guard actually calls me over and he says, oh, there's some crazy people waving their hands over at you. And so he kind of helps me find out where my friends are, and I walk over to them, and I'm really happy to see them. End up snacking on a banana, an orange, and an apple, and catching up about how they're doing with their freelance jobs as translators and writers. After a quick dip in the pool, we're talking about getting dinner someplace. Robin has actually got a soccer match, so he's off on his own. And Maddie and Sherry and I decide to go check out a kebab place with some veggie options. Once we got our food, we sit down in a park nearby and enjoy our dinner. The clouds are looking darker and stormier, so we realize it's time to book it, and Sherry and I hail a cab, which we take back to our apartment. And at this point of the day, I'm really tired. Don't usually socialize so much. I actually have a habit of going to a nearby cafe and reading a book or doing some programming with Python. And today, feeling the busyness and the social activities gotten to me, so I'm chilling with a bit of tea and a book. All in all, I felt like this was a pretty good day and I got some good things done. Being a teacher is always this interesting mix of cramming instruction and making sure the learning is optimal and all cylinders are firing, and at the same time making quiet moments and peaceful moments where you can have a normal conversation with a colleague or a kid about how they're doing, and learning to let your guard down in the middle of the day and actually have a human conversation.
Thanks to all 17 precious subscribers. I cherish each of you individually. I'm hoping to reach 25 by 2025, so help me reach my goal and hit that sub button. Thank you so much, and